pride and vanity and affectation. He goes into a whole argument. Then he says another question to the father. He says, by the way, what are you thinking about in terms of business for your children? He's already got some school thing. Now he says, what about business? He says, are you thinking of some business for them? Is it your view to please God herein? Would you like for your son to do business which loves and serves God? Or, he says, I have found in my ministry, I've been shocked above measure in observing how little this is attended to, even by pious parents. Even those who consider and fear God. They almost always consider how much money their son makes, not how much holiness he lives. I have never heard a parent say, I don't care how much my son or daughter makes, I want how much holiness they can get. I've never heard the sentence. Is that weird? Is that odd? Is that going to be so strange that this camp is going to talk a good talk for 10 days and then tell our kids when they go to school or get a job, make sure you're up there. Make sure you get known. Make sure you make enough to secure yourself. I have a friend who comes by me almost every day, or used to anyway, and he'd always touch my elbow. He was a little elbow toucher. He'd always touch my elbow. He was never really sincere. He'd always say, Phil, take care, take care. It was a way of saying, please move on, I don't want to talk to you. Just take care, take care. And every time he does, I just wanted to hit him. No, I didn't want to do that. But I just wanted to slap him and say, you know what, I'm sick and tired of taking care. Why don't you say to me, take a risk. Take a risk. Somebody in this encampment, take a risk. And go to some ridiculous school like Kentucky Mountain Bible College and find out what holiness means for America, rather than some ridiculous university that has nothing to do with Jesus and could care less about your soul. Now, I know that God can lead, but I'm telling you, I have found that business is the greatest idol in most people's lives. And what it produces, and it kills marriages. It kills a family. And it's the men's fault. The men's fault who push their wives out to make another income when they want to stay at home with their children because you got to live in the right suburb. Suburbs are of the devil. From Adam's silence in the garden to Peter's denial in another garden, men have not been the Spirit-filled, Christ-like, bold, courageous, humble, dying servants that God intended. I began hearing it soon after my call to ministry 32 years ago. Where are the leaders? 32 years I've heard that call. And now what do I've got? Wes and Joy Griffin talking about 10,000 leaders overseas. Where's the man or woman who's going to do about 10,000 leaders in the holiness movement in America? That's the need. What are the needs? We need that, and nobody has a vision for that. 10,000 men, 10,000 women who want nothing but God and hate nothing but sin. Where's that vision? We disciple a couple of guys and they peter off. Send some guys to seminary, hope they speak better in a pulpit. Listen to me. It's your responsibility. In your home, raising children, raising sons who don't kiss cows. That's what Hosea says. You're so ridiculous, you kiss the cows you make. Would somebody listen to my heart? God said, would somebody respond? Would some man wake up and become a leader? I've watched men move more by their lawns than the Son of God. Husbands who are full of hubris, not holiness. Fathers who are fickle, not faithful. Single men that are supercilious, not single-hearted. Deacons that are deceiving, not dying to their self-will. Elders that are endlessly seeking their own, not enlightened by grace. And bishops that now blaspheme. Heard about a guy once who was watching the ordination of a bishop. They were all up there around this guy, dozens of people, laying hands on him. And the son said to the dad, as they laid hands on this bishop, he said, Daddy, what are they doing to that guy up there? And the daddy said, well, they're removing his backbone, son. He's not going to have a backbone anymore. And I thought to myself, how common that is in all of our lives. The loss of a spirit-enabled backbone. Every single camp I go to, every single camp, the yearning in somebody's face, in some level of disordered family life, and it almost always, 95% comes back to some man not doing the simplest of things. Loving God with all his heart, soul, mind, and strength. I was able to travel around a bit with Dr. Kinlaw, and one of the greatest privileges of my entire life. I counted it. I was in the homes of about 400 spiritual leaders of some kind over the years. And I learned. I wish I'd taken notes earlier, but I learned as I went through. And one thing I noticed was that the leaders, the men in leadership, were always talking about themselves. I mean, you and I would be shocked, because you would never do that. If you had Dr. Kinlaw for coffee, you wouldn't say a word unless you're abject idiot. You'd be quiet. You'd listen. If you talk, you're out of your mind. If he's there, you listen, and you take notes to everything he ever breathed. But these men talked. They filled the air about themselves. Over and over, trying to prove they were big, they were better, they were doing. And the whole time, one of their precious wives kind of hobbled along behind as they moved plates and took the dessert plate from their husband and filled his coffee cup again, and then went back into the kitchen to be quiet, back behind where the women belonged, so the man can talk about himself. And I thought to myself, Lord Jesus, most of these guys are just nothing but self-centered pigs. And I began to pray. I prayed for my own Diane. I didn't even know her name yet. Well, I knew her name. I looked at her before. But I didn't know I was going to marry her. I knew she was really good looking. But I began to pray, if I ever have a chance to meet somebody that's wonderful and fall in love and they would love me, Lord, please don't let me live my life as a self-centered pig. Men, I don't know what cow you're kissing, but I'm telling you, there are women all around your life who are looking for you. And men, sons, who are looking for you to make a step of boldness. And this book says every man in the culture is lost, serving other gods. I can't hook into one single male heart. Not spiritual leaders, not governmental leaders, not home leaders. None of them care. None of them love their own. They sell their children for a mess of pottage. Yahweh remembers. Secondly, Yahweh has a face. You know this marvelous theme throughout the Old Testament, but I'm intrigued. In the 11th chapter, we saw it again. The second verse there. The more they went from their face. Now, that doesn't make sense to us in English, but literally means the more they went from who they are. But if you go back in the book, you'll find that it says to us in verse 15 of chapter 5, I will return when they seek my face. I'll return, Yahweh says, when they seek my face. I want you to remember, I'll return. Remember's one thing. I'll return, but you've got to know all of me. You've got to want all of me. The face is the person. The face is the definition of the Bible, of the Old Testament anyway, of what it is to be a person. It identifies who you are. It shows your attitudes. It shows your sentiments. It shows your behavior, your emotions, your moods, your dispositions. I wish I could go to the list. But he wants these people, these sinful, broken, idol worshipers, to see his face. I remember you, all your wickedness, and I want you to see my face. And until you want to see my face, I'm not going to show you who I am. I'm not going to deal with a half-hearted salvation. I'm not dealing with Egypt anymore, this half-hearted deliverance where I bring you out of bondage and you just turn around again. I want somebody who wants my face. Some man, some woman who wants to see me. Only two people. In fact, only one historically. Jacob saw the face of God, Peniel. Moses, it says he could have seen God's face. We're not told if he did or not there on the mountain. He could have maybe, but it says, but it's not clear if he did or not. Only one man saw God and did not die. You think this is little talk, nice little Christianese? This is reality. You want to live in holiness? You want to know what it means? It means the face of God. It means seeing who he is. Face to face, mouth to mouth. You and he, fully revealed to each other forever. Who you are, who he is. What you're not, what he is. Coming together, face to face.